Mother! Sorry, I had to do that at least once. Hey there everybody, this is 22 Tiger Dude here, and I'm here to review Mother with an exclamation mark. And don't worry, I am not gonna shout again that title. I just had to do it once because that's how you actually say the movie. Mother is written and directed by Darren Aronofsky, and the film stars Jennifer Lawrence, Javier Bardem, Ed Harris, and Michelle Pfeiffer. It tells the story of this couple. They don't really have names, and their relationship gets tested the minute Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer arrive at their home, and that's all I'm gonna really say as far as the plot synopsis goes. So, I'm not gonna lie, Mother, I got really excited for this film. I was really excited for this film. Man, that trailer was so freaking good. It was crazy. It looked pretty horrifying, and it definitely just made me so intrigued to see this movie. This was definitely one of my most anticipated movies for the rest of the year. Alright, so I know Mother has been really mixed. So, for the first time in a movie review, you guys are actually going to guess what I thought before I actually say it. So, go ahead and guess in 3, 2, 1. If you chose C, you are correct. Yeah, Mother was really disappointing. And while I will say I didn't hate this film, I was very let down by it. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the most disappointing movies of the entire year. And first off, I gotta just say it is not a horror film. It is more of a drama, I guess psychological kind of thriller, and yeah. So let me just start off with my positives. I do think Jennifer Lawrence was truly fantastic in this film. Like, wow, she continues to just show why she honestly is such a great young actress. She really gives, honestly, one of the best performances of her career. I thought she did a very good job. Even if the movie is just the same old, she has to stare and walk around. I did think for what Darren Aronofsky needed her to do, she did a truly unbelievable job. Same for Javier Bardem. He is really believable as her husband. He really gives it his all, just like with Jennifer Lawrence, and I really do admire the performance that Javier Bardem was giving. Despite how I may feel about the characters, the performances I do think are truly unbelievable. As for Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer, I did think they were really good for what they had to do with their roles. That's all I'm gonna really say from there. But yeah, those two are really good. There's a pretty well-known actress that shows up in this film. All I'm gonna say is very interesting to see this certain actress appear in this film. Definitely not a role I expected from her, but yeah, she was really great. The cinematography is really well shot. This is a very good looking movie. I did like how the cinematography looked for this kind of film. Darren Aronofsky's direction sometimes I think is really good. The way he moves the camera around, I was actually very impressed by it. Some of his techniques when directing the film, I did find to be pretty fascinating. And there's some times where I was intrigued watching Mother. I was intrigued with the story, and there were definitely moments in the third act that I thought were actually quite fascinating. It is before we get to a certain scene, however, in the third act, which, yeah, but some moments in that third act, before we get to that moment, I actually did find to be really cool. And I do appreciate the metaphors, the symbolisms of the film. I do understand this film. Before anyone says I didn't understand the film, trust me, I fully understand it. The metaphors were, for me at least, very easy to understand. And for what they were going for with the metaphors, I respect it. And yeah, I thought it was very interesting. However, with Mother, I have to be honest and say this. While I do respect what Darren Aronofsky is trying to do, I know he wrote this film in 5 days because he was mad at the world. But while there were moments I was very intrigued by this film, other moments came off as pretentious as hell. This was very, very pretentious in certain areas. I'd say definitely when we get to, as we're leaning more towards it, to the ending of the film, that's where it gets beyond pretentious. And that really is a shame because as much as I do appreciate the metaphors, but honestly, when I really look at the storytelling, it does come off as pretentious, to be honest. And I didn't think it always worked well for the storyline. The characters, to be honest, I really didn't like the characters. They are so unbelievably unlikable. I'd say Jennifer Lawrence's character is really the only one I truly cared about. But Javier Bardem, great performance, no question. But his character, I really didn't like his character, very unlikable, and although I get the whole metaphor behind it, it just didn't necessarily work. Same for Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer. Oh my god, Michelle Pfeiffer's character. Like I said, great performance, but Michelle Pfeiffer, her character, wow. She's a total, I'm just going to say it, she's a total bitch. I'm just going to say it straight off the bat, she's a total bitch. And you have these other characters that are showing up and it just comes off as messy, and this is where I get to Darren Aronofsky's other half. Sometimes this is a very well-directed movie, but other times I thought this movie was so sloppy with its direction, and as we're getting more towards in the third act, it just felt like Darren Aronofsky was just going so all over the place. And granted, before we do get to that one moment I hated in this film, before we get to that one moment, I did think the way he was moving around was cool sometimes, but then other times it just got very tiresome. For the first 2 acts, this movie does get pretty boring, honestly. It really is just the same old thing. And I was really on board with the third act to an extent, but then once we get to that one moment I truly hated, that's when the movie started to lose me. It's just that one scene. It's not the rest of the third act I necessarily hate. It's just that one particular scene. If you guys have seen this movie, I think you can figure out what's that one and only scene in Mother I truly hated. Darren Aronofsky, I get what you're trying to do, but there was no reason for you to add that. Okay, seriously, that was the most pretentious thing out of everything in this entire film, was that scene. There was no reason for that scene to happen. That seriously did piss me off. But as for the rest of the movie, I wasn't really pissed watching it. I was just really thrown off most of the time watching this film. It was just like, what the hell? It was just throwing me off a lot, but I just wasn't really angry watching this film. However, I do understand why people would hate this film. It is totally understandable. I can understand the love side too, but I can definitely understand why people would hate this film because, like I said, it really does get pretty pretentious. And oh yeah, when you do get to the ending of Mother, you're just sitting there really going, what was the point of sitting through this movie? It made me feel like I sat through this entire movie for nothing. Overall, Mother, I respect the metaphors, I respect what Darren Aronofsky was trying to do. There are some very cool images in this film. There's some very interesting imagery, as you can expect from Darren Aronofsky. I admire the performances. Most of the characters I really don't like, and while I was intrigued in some moments, other moments, this movie really got pretentious. And the thing that's a bummer is that Mother could have been a really meaningful movie, but the way the storyline is told, it just comes off as very meaningless. But when it comes down to it, the movie's a mixed bag. I think it's just fine, not something I really want to rewatch ever again. I'm gonna give Mother 2 out of 4 stars. Very, very disappointed by this film. So you guys, in the comments down below, let me know what you guys think about Mother. Did you hate the film? Did you love the film? Did you like the film? Or are you like me, where I'm just really in the middle with this film? This is 22 Tiger Dude here, and don't forget that I will always have Tiger Power.